All right. Happy Saturday. Hello. We're so excited to talk about the Eucharist, to make a little bit of Eucharistic crafting happen in your homes. My buddy here, Bernadette, is already crafting away. Hello, hello. We have our club craft leader, Therese, here with us with her two little sisters, Evangeline and Magdalene. Okay. Well, people are coming in. They're still kind of popping up. Let's all say a little prayer so that if you haven't noticed, this month in the clubhouse, we are talking about the Eucharist. We did a litany to Jesus in the Eucharist for our prayer and play. We're doing a monstrance craft. We're doing all the things about the Eucharist. So we're going to talk about Eucharistic adoration today. And it is my hope that the craft that you make, we have some examples here of our little monstrance craft, that it's not something you give away as a gift, but something that you keep, maybe you hang in your room. And so it serves as a reminder that Jesus is waiting for you to come and spend time with him, that he's in the tabernacle in your church, that he's in the adoration chapel waiting for you, specifically you. So we'll talk about that. But before we do, let's pray a little prayer together. So we're just going to start by praying a Hail Mary because, I don't know if you know this, but Mary, her number one thing that she wants for you is to come closer to Jesus. That's the number one thing she wants. So when we strive to believe more that Jesus is in the Eucharist, honor him more, she's a great friend and a great help that we do that. So let's pray a Hail Mary together. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Okay, give me a thumbs up. See, play around on your Zoom call a little bit for a second. Find the way to do a thumbs up. So it's a little smiley face. Give me a thumbs up if you have ever spent any amount of time in Eucharistic adoration. So give me a thumbs up if that's true. Let's see. Yeah, you can do it like this too if that's easier. You've been to Eucharistic adoration? Very good, very good. And let me tell you, sometimes you go to Eucharistic adoration, and if you're my kids with me, you can ask, is it time to go yet? Are we done? Right? It can be a little bit of an adjustment to know what to do there. So as you're gathering your supplies, hopefully you have a little list. As your mom sending things to the printer to print, like I am, that's totally fine. I'm going to teach you a little tiny bit about Eucharistic adoration, keeping in mind that the whole time that the reason we're doing this craft is so you have a reminder that Jesus wants not just your mom to go, not just the priest at your church to go, but you to go, okay? So to Eucharistic adoration. Let's see, here it is. All right. And I did a bad job. I am at the bottom slide, so look away. There we go. I'm at the top slide. Okay, Eucharistic adoration. Let's talk about it. So first of all, what is Eucharistic adoration? So let me tell you a little secret. Eucharistic adoration was not something that they did at my church when I was a little kid. I actually did not go to Eucharistic adoration until I was in college. I didn't know what it was. Maybe your parents had a similar thing where it just wasn't done very much. So if you don't know what it is, don't feel bad. Eucharistic adoration is where if you go to Holy Mass, the priest says the consecration prayers. We believe that the bread and the wine are utterly transformed into Jesus's body and blood. Usually after Mass, there's some of the host, some of the body that's left over. They put that in the tabernacle. That's why we genuflect when we come into Mass, because we believe Jesus is present in the tabernacle. For Eucharistic adoration, we have certain prayers and songs that we sing. A priest will take one of those hosts that have been consecrated in Mass and put it in something like this called a monstrance, which is the basic shape of the craft that we're making today. And it is this way to come and worship Jesus. And all that happens in Eucharistic adoration is Jesus is there on the altar and we come to worship. So Eucharistic adoration, basically, it is just a humble worship of Jesus fully present in the Eucharist. Worship simply means that we come and we acknowledge that Jesus is God and I am not. It's an opportunity to spend time with Jesus. It's different than the Mass. The Mass, of course, is super duper important. But in the Mass, there's lots of things going on, lots of people. And this is just a quiet time to come and spend time with Jesus. And then the other thing that's kind of important to realize is that Eucharistic adoration, it should kind of feel like a waste of time. And if you remember, there's a story from the Gospel where Lazarus' sisters, their name are Mary and Martha, and Jesus comes to visit them, and there's tons of people because Jesus is pretty famous at this time. And so Martha is running around the house, making food, cleaning up, making sure the guests are comfortable. And Mary, she's not helping at all. All that she is doing is sitting at Jesus's feet and listening. And does anybody remember, if you can put in the chat, what does Martha say to Jesus about what Mary's doing? Do you remember? Is she like, oh, I'm so glad Mary's here with you? No, she says something very different. She says, Jesus, tell Mary to get up and help me, right? There's a lot of work to do. And does Jesus tell Mary to get up and help her sister? No, he says she has chosen the better part. It will not be taken from her. So what looks like a waste of time, being lazy, is actually what Jesus wants us to do sometime, to not worry about studying for that math test or practicing our saxophone or going to sports practice or whatever. He wants us to waste time with him, to just be with him, and to just let that be exactly what we want to do, to be like Mary, because a lot of times we're just like Martha, we're doing all the work, and he says, no, stop and be with me. Okay, so then the next question, if you're one of my kids, what do I do in Eucharistic adoration? Do I just sit there? I feel so boring. And really, that's what we do in Eucharistic adoration, right? There's not any sort of entertainment. We just go and be with Jesus. So here's some basic ideas, and we'll talk about this a little bit more as we get crafting. So one of the things, when I have a Eucharistic adoration hour each week, sometimes 2 hours, and what is one of the most powerful things to do is honestly just to sit there and look at Jesus and tell myself, this is God, this is Jesus. Because if you think it's easy to believe that, then you're different than me. It's something we kind of have to tell ourselves and grow in belief and sit there and realize that we're in the presence of the God of the universe. Another thing that's really cool to do is, if you have a piece of paper, is that you can make a list of all the things that you're grateful for, and they can be big and little things, like I'm grateful for my abilities, I'm grateful for my family, and to just realize that all of those gifts came from Jesus, who you are with. So write a big thank you note. Another really beautiful thing is to read the Gospels when you are in Eucharistic adoration, because we are there with Jesus. And so we actually can hear him speak through the Gospels, hear his words. And very often, since the Bible is not like other books, it's alive and active, God will have a message for us specifically that we kind of will be surprised to find in the Gospels. Okay, final question. Why should I go to Eucharistic adoration? And there's lots of things, you know, obviously it's Jesus. He wants us to come. That should be enough. But I love this quote from Blessed Carlo Acutis, who was only 15 years old when he died, and yet he's already been named a blessed. He said, when we face the sun, we get a tan. But when we stand before Jesus in the Eucharist, we become saints. It's this idea, you know, like if you're hanging out with a group of friends, you start saying the words they say, doing the things they do, kind of absorb who they are. So if we spend time with Jesus, we start becoming holy, like he wants us to be holy. So that's why we go. We go to be holy. We go to show Jesus we love him. And the biggest thing I want you to remember is that we don't go to Eucharistic adoration because it helps God or something. He's perfect already. We go to adoration because it helps us. Okay, so the monstrance craft, let it be your reminder that Jesus wants you to spend time in Eucharistic adoration. He wants you to. Okay, that's what I got. I hope that that's inspiring and helps you realize that even you can go to Eucharistic adoration. And if you're little, I want to put a little word in. A lot of people talk about going to an hour of Eucharistic adoration. And I know when you're young, an hour is a really long time. So even going to 5 minutes of Eucharistic adoration is a really good thing. Even being like, oh, we're driving through town, we can stop in at the Eucharistic adoration chapel and say hi. Okay, so our craft leader, Therese, is back. Therese, do you want to say hi to everybody? You can turn your mic on.
Hi, everybody. I'm Therese.
And Trey's going to tell us all about the craft. It's pretty simple, but I think you can have some fun and do lots of different things. Go ahead, Therese.
Okay, so you should all maybe have like a printout of the outline of like the monstrance, but actually our printer broke, so I cut one out. It should look just like this, but Aunt Nancy, you have one like a circle in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we're gonna do first is cut this out. But don't cut out the middle circle. So leave the middle circle how it is. And then we're going to glue it to like a cereal box. So like I have this like Cheerios cereal box. And so you like glue it to it like this. And then you're just gonna cut it out. So it's gonna be all glued. And you're just gonna cut out the outline of the paper. And then you are going to you're going to cut out one of these. I already cut out a couple, but there's like these little Jesus pictures. So you're going to cut out one of those.
Sure. And if you're really artistic or creative, you could draw a picture of Jesus.
Yes.
Or you wanted it to look just like maybe it does in Eucharistic adoration, you could draw something that looked like a host if you wanted. So there's lots of things you could do there.
Yes. And so yeah, that'd be really cool if you did that. But the next step is pretty simple. Once you have it, here, I'll just show you one of the finished products. You can see it pretty easily. Once you have the paper on top of the cardboard, then you're just going to take some popsicle sticks, and I broke them in half because they were really long, but I've seen some people do it where they just had full popsicle sticks, and that looked really cool. And so you're just going to like glue it starting where like the little circle is in the middle. So here, let me see if I can show you. So if I have a popsicle stick, and this is like, pretend that there's cardboard behind this. I just start gluing like that. And then all the way around. You can also glue on your popsicle sticks, and then if there's some like gaps in between and you want to make it extra fancy, if you have some toothpicks, you can just put those in between and just glue them. I use top glue, but you can also just use school glue. And then once that is all glued on and your glue's dry, then you can just take some gold paint and paint all over it. And then the next step is to take the little picture of Jesus that you cut out, or either the picture you drew, and glue it on top of that. So like there should be like a little like plain circle in the middle. You may have painted over, but like once all the popsicle sticks are on, then there's just like a little circle, then you put Jesus right there. And then you can also, there's like this little piece of, there's this little rectangle at the bottom of like where I already cut it out, but there should be like a little rectangle right here. You can cut that out, glue it onto the bottom, and write a little Eucharistic like saying. So some of the ones that maybe Aunt Nancy, could you maybe put them in the chat if I see them?
Sure.
So
yep.
some of the ones,
in there. So some of the whole So some of the simple ones are just like holy, 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 which is what we say at Mass. We could say that in Latin, sanctus, sanctus, sanctus. What is it? Jesus. Oops.
You could say, Jesus, I love you. You could
Or-
just put Jesus. I don't know, anything that would kind of remind you of adoration, or just that remind you that it's a symbol of Jesus.
Yep. And so when we were doing our experiments, the kids liked the bottom gold so much that they actually decided to do like a little piece that they put on top saying holy, 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 or Jesus, I adore you. So this is your craft. You can do whatever you want. Some of the things we learned, like Therese said, see, this is JoJo's, when she put Jesus, she glued Jesus in the middle first, and then she painted with gold, and we had a lot of gold on Jesus at the end, which is totally fine. You just maybe, if you do that, just use a smaller paintbrush, totally fine. Or yes, or print it again and put Jesus there again. Our Dominic likes to think outside the box, so he actually did a frame around Jesus on his. He also is in the works of making, if you want to be really creative and you have some extra popsicle sticks, he glued a whole bunch of them together into a stand so he could actually put this into it and it stood up. There wasn't any real plan. It was just sort of a whole bunch of popsicle sticks, but it stood up. So there's a lot of different options.
You could make
And
a big or small.
we just had to do a grocery run. So we went and we actually came home with these funny things. Like, what do they call
They're
them?
like forks.
Yeah, bamboo forks. So I think Berna's in the process of making one with these. Is that what you're gonna use?
Toothpicks and popsicle sticks.
Yeah. Oops, someone else is
There's a
coming.
lot of cool ideas. I also have these like super long toothpicks. So they're kind of cool. They look a little crazy if you put them on, so I didn't use them. But I don't know. You can always just like
Crack them.
but you could always like that'd be kinda
Yeah.
cool.
And I like the variety. Like in this one, see if you want to cut some of your popsicle sticks and keep them long. So there's lots of options.
You could even, if you really wanted, if you have like these little like gems or beads, because like some monstrances are like
That's
super
together.
fancy,
Samuel, that's nice.
and so you could put like gems on it
Stop.
if you want. You could really do
Nice.
anything.
Yeah.
Make it beautiful.
Very nice. The tricky part we found is that you got to give the glue a chance to dry before you start putting on the gold paint. We were a little impatient and that was a bit of a problem, but that's been the only problem. Okay, does anybody have any questions? It's a pretty straightforward craft. Have any questions? You can go ahead and turn your mic on if you have any questions, if you're stumped in any way. Otherwise, if you guys just want to keep crafting, Trez and I had some questions we wanted to ask just so we could kind of get to know you a little better and keep in mind who to pray for this year. So, Trez, you want to ask a question for them?
Okay, so the first question is, how many of you are going to receive your first communion this year?
Yeah, who is preparing for First Holy Communion?
Raise your hand.
Yeah, raise your hand. Good. We're going to go through all the people preparing for First Holy Communion. We're going to have you turn your mic on and tell us your name and where you're from so I can make a little list of kids to pray for as they prepare for their First Holy Communion, because that's a big deal. That's a big deal. Actually.
Evie, you should raise your hand. My little sister Evie's gonna receive it.
Yeah. Okay, we'll start with Evie, then we'll start going through everybody, okay? So keep crafting. If you got your little Zoom hand up, I'll call on you and tell you to turn your mic on and tell us who you are, okay? So Evie, you go ahead. You go first.
Let's say your name.
Evie. My name is Evie.
And
And
she is
where-
going to.
A lot of us, I think, don't know when we're going to receive it, right? Because it's still early in the year. But Evie, where do you live?
I live in Kansas.
So Evangeline in Kansas is going to be receiving her first Holy Communion. Okay, Cullen family, you guys have your hands up. Turn your mic on. Tell us who's preparing for their first Holy Communion this year.
Hi.
Tell me your name.
My name is William.
Hi. Where do you live, buddy?
New York.
In New York. Did you say your name is Liam?
Oh, William.
William. Oh, got it. William in New York. Well, that's awesome. We'll pray for you as you prepare. Wonderful. Nice to meet you. Okay, Pence family, turn your mic on. Tell us who's preparing for their first Holy Communion.
My name is Emmett Pence, and I live in Ohio.
Ohio. Sorry, my son was talking to me. I missed your name. What's your first name?
Emmett Pence.
Emmett. And you're in Ohio and you're preparing. Wonderful. That's awesome. That's super exciting. Okay, it said Julie Zawak. You guys want to turn your microphone on and tell me who's preparing for their first Holy Communion?
You can say.
I am
What's your name?
Peter.
Peter. Where do you live, Peter?
Minnesota, like you.
Nice, Minnesota. Well, that's awesome. You enjoying these last warm days before the winter comes?
Yeah.
Wonderful. We're praying for you, Peter. That's wonderful. Okay, Mary and Rose, turn your microphone on. Tell us who's preparing for their first Holy Communion.
My name is Mary, and we live in North Carolina.
Where do you live, honey?
North Carolina.
North Carolina. That's awesome. Wonderful. We'll be praying for you as you prepare. That's great. Okay, Butler kids, who is preparing for their first Holy Communion this year?
Me,
What's your name?
Pierce.
Pierce?
Pierce.
Pierce. Okay, where do you live, buddy?
Like pierce your ear. Pierce.
Pierce.
Pierce. Got it. Where do you live?
Florida.
Florida. That's awesome.
Yeah, the little forks.
Okay, the Thompson family, who's preparing for their first Holy Communion?
Annabelle.
Annabelle, where do you live?
Midland. Texas.
Texas. This is great. We have people from Kansas, New York, Ohio, Minnesota, North Carolina, Florida, and Texas. This is great. We'll be praying for you, Annabelle, right? Not Annabeth?
Yes.
Beautiful. That's a great name. All right, Tramp family, who's preparing for their first Holy Communion there?
My name is Anthony, and I live in Nebraska.
Anthony. Wonderful. Do people call you Anthony or Tony?
Sometimes Tony.
Sometimes Tony. I like that name. Then Anthony and Padwa's, I lose a lot of things, so I pray to him all the time. That's wonderful. We'll be praying for you as you prepare. Okay, Abby and Emmy Fisher, who's preparing for First Holy Communion in your house?
What did you say?
So this is Emmy, and she's preparing for First Holy Communion.
Emmy, right? Is that what you said? Where do you guys live?
Emmy.
Virginia.
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 Wonderful. Nice to meet you guys. All right. I think that's all the people that had their hands up. Anybody? Did I miss anybody? Harper's? Do you guys have someone preparing for First Holy Communion? No, we're just waving. Totally fine. We're all preparing for our next Holy Communion, right? So we all have to prepare that way. Did I miss anybody? I think we're good. Wonderful. Well, we have one in our house, but she's downstairs playing with the baby and won't come up here for some reason. So JoJo, another Minnesota, she's preparing for First Holy Communion this year too. Wonderful. Well, we'll be praying for you. That's a very big moment to receive Jesus. Very, very big. So my next question as you're working, does anybody, so those of you that have already received your first Holy Communion, does anybody have a sort of cool story of what happened on that day? We have a couple. While you're thinking about it, Bernadette can tell you about her first Holy Communion. Okay, good. But let's do this. If you have a story you want to tell us about your first Holy Communion, you can put your hand up. If you were just raising your hand because it was your first Holy Communion this year, try to find how to lower your hand. You can kind of look at that. But while we do that, Bernadette, what was special about your first Holy Communion?
When I had my first Holy Communion, my godfather, who's a priest, gave me my first Holy Communion.
Yeah, it was kind of a surprise because he came to be with you and our pastor let him celebrate. And then at the last moment, our pastor said, well, why don't you give her her first Holy Communion?
It's
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was really cool. Okay, well, you're still thinking about your first Holy Communion stories.
Yeah.
Oh, our other good story. 1 minute, just a sec. Let me look at what's going on here. Okay, you're still thinking. Just keep crafting for a second. I gotta check on something quick here. Okay, great. Okay, good. Someone is asking for a quick rundown of the craft. We're gonna do that quick while you keep thinking about those first Holy Communion stories. So Trez, do you want to do like a 2-minute explanation of the craft again for those people that came in a little later?
Yes. Okay. So what I did is first you're gonna have like the printout that should be like on like this doc. And so you're just gonna print out like pretty much this like shape, the monstrance, and then you are going to just glue it to some cardboard like we are doing, and then you just start cutting it out. So around that, and then once that is all cut out, it's gonna kind of look like how this is in the back. See like that shape, but with like the paper on front. And then you're just gonna quick take some popsicle sticks. You can either break them in half or just put them like full out and just glue them on the circle, because the circle in the middle should just be empty. Just glue them on around the circle. You can also use some toothpicks, but totally up to you. And then you're just gonna paint it all gold. And then you can just take a little image of Jesus that should also be able to be printed out. You can pick whichever one you want. And you can just glue it in the center. You can also like frame Jesus with popsicle sticks. It's pretty much up to you, but and also if you wanted to, there's like this little square or no rectangle at the bottom of where like the pictures of Jesus are, and you can cut that out, and that should fit right at the bottom of your monstrance. If you want to, you can glue it like just the paper on, and then you can write a simple Eucharistic like saying like holy, 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 or Sanctus, 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 or just Jesus, I love you.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And so take your time, and the real creative part is how you decide to arrange your popsicle sticks and toothpicks, or we have bamboo forks, or cut them or whatever. Okay, so we said if you have other questions about the craft, feel free to put it in the chat or just turn your mic on. Okay, let's see. We're looking for beautiful, fun, cool, first Holy Communion. Oh, someone have a question? Go ahead.
Yeah, so we didn't have any gold glue, gold paint, so we're just using silver paint. Is that fine?
Oh, of course. In fact, we were worried we didn't have any gold paint, so we were going to use yellow. So, of course, absolutely do whatever you think would be beautiful. I think let's just do that. Let's make sure, because as Catholics, we like things that are beautiful because we know that God is the author of all things beautiful. So anything that's beautiful helps us think more about him. Okay, we're going to go to First Holy Communion stories. Anything fun or great? We're going to go with Sylvia. Do you want to turn your mic on? Tell us what happened at your First Holy Communion.
I actually don't have a first communion story. I just had a question.
Absolutely. What is
about
it?
the craft? So we kind of glued it on backwards. So we have the designs of the cardboard in the back. Does that matter, or is that fine?
That's totally how we did it.
Totally
too.
how we did it too.
Okay.
What
Yeah.
we
What
realized
we realized that
is that we needed a little bit of
we
more
needed a little bit of more
strength on the back.
strength on the back.
Good job.
All
Keep
right.
it.
Good.
Okay. Let's see here. The Rojas family. Am I saying your name right? Do you guys have a First Holy Communion story?
So it was the first and so I was waiting, and then like I was really excited, but then like I was out of breath literally when they were about to give it to me, and then it ended up well.
Oh, good. You were so excited, huh?
Mm-hmm.
That's good. Were you a little bit calmer for your second Holy Communion?
Yeah.
Good. Good. That's a great story. And that's really how we should always be with First Holy Communion, right? We should always be that excited. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, Elise and Miles, do you guys have a First Holy Communion story?
Hi.
Hi.
It was freezing in the parish from the air conditioning, and then when I took Holy Communion, I was warm.
Oh, really? So it just all of a sudden, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's really beautiful. When did you receive your first Holy Communion? Was it a couple?
Like at Easter 2021.
Okay, wonderful.
Wait, no, 2022.
Okay, so just like a year and a half ago. Oh, wonderful. Thank you for sharing that, Miles. Yeah, I think you were on the same time. That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that, Miles. Okay, it says Danielle Williams. Do you have a First Holy Communion story, or is your hand just up? There
So
you go.
I was literally like the only one standing up, and I got like really scared. And then when I received my first Holy Communion and walked back to my seat, I was really calm.
Oh, it just made you feel so calm. Oh, that's wonderful. That's a beautiful story. Yeah, I assume your first name isn't Danielle. What's your first name, hun? Oh, she turned her mic off already.
My first name is Perpetua.
Oh, what a cool name. Thank you, Perpetua. Where do you live?
I live in Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. I love your name. Yeah, come do a craft with us. Okay, Alia, is that how you say that name? Do you guys have a First Holy Communion story? There we go.
Well, my sister.
No,
it's
not open. I was the only one.
Give it to
All
Daniel.
right. You can
Hey,
give
Daniel. It's Daniel, not Aaliyah.
Yeah.
What's your story, hun?
So, on my first Holy Communion,
Mhm.
as always, I was excited, just like my older brother.
Sure.
And, well, when I received, I felt more mature and more actually, and I wanted to be with God more. I felt more prayerful. I felt, more peaceful.
Wow.
Oh, and another thing. Yeah, I also wanted to tell you who gave me the Holy Communion. The bishop of my church, so it was
Wow.
very special.
Wow. That's amazing. Where do you guys live?
In Canada,
Oh, in Canada.
all the way into Grand Prairie, Alberta.
Wow. That is a really beautiful story. What's your name, buddy?
Daniel,
Daniel. I'm going to remember that story. When did you receive your first Holy Communion? Was it a couple years ago?
2021.
Okay.
I can't remember. It was sometime in September or October. October, actually, yeah.
Wow. Almost 2 years ago. Wow. That's really beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Okay. I think maybe we have a couple more. Thompson family, do you guys have a First Holy Communion story?
Yes.
Okay.
My baby brother was baptized on the same day of my first Holy Communion.
Wow. So many sacraments. What's your little baby brother's name?
Gabriel.
Gabriel. And what's your name?
He likes Michael. He likes being called Gabriel.
Man, you guys are like the archangels. You're little.
That's why my parents named me that.
Great name. What a special day. I bet your parents took a lot of pictures of you guys that day, huh? Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, Michael. Wonderful. Let's see here. People still have their hands up. I'm not sure they have. Abby and Emmy, do you guys have a First Holy Communion story?
Yeah. For my first Holy Communion, we were outside because of COVID, and then it started raining. So we used our beach umbrellas.
Oh,
Mommy covered the cake with a beach umbrella. And a little Bubba too made a little
that's
Yeah,
such a
and my little brother's first communion is going to be the same day, not the same day, but the same year as my confirmation.
Oh, wow. Well, that would be a really big day too. That's wonderful. Okay, let's see here. It says, Mackenzie, do you have a First Holy Communion story? What's your story, hon?
My stomach hurt on my first Holy Communion, and I fell asleep on the couch, and it was about like maybe 10 more minutes until I received my first Holy Communion at the church. And I woke up and my dad and my brother were watching Angry Birds, and I laughed at it, and then my tummy felt better. So I went to my first Holy Communion, and I got there right on time.
That's wonderful. I'm so glad that you felt better and you were able to receive Jesus. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. These are great stories. These are my favorite kind of stories. Okay, Zwak family, do you guys just have your hand up, or do you guys have a First Holy Communion story too?
Catherine just had a question. Can you
Oh, sure.
use markers on the bottom part
Absolutely.
of like the thing?
Absolutely. I give you full permission to do whatever you think will be beautiful to remind you to go spend some time with Jesus. Whatever you think will be beautiful. Absolutely. Okay, looks like we might have one more family with First Holy Communion story. If I missed you, let me know. But the Pence family, do you guys have one? Go ahead.
Go ahead. It's unmuted.
Whenever in Cincinnati, there was this private mass, and this child was receiving his host, and it started bleeding.
Really? This was a Eucharistic miracle.
Yes, last Friday on Mary's birthday in our archdiocese.
Oh, really? It just happened.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a little kid receiving their First Holy Communion?
Yes, a private mass. Yes.
Wow, 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 wow. That's amazing. Oh my gosh, that like gives me chills to think that just happened. Okay, I have to write this down. I'm gonna go do research. So that was in Cincinnati. And I'm sure, so if you have ever studied Eucharistic miracles, the thing to keep in mind is that the church takes calling something a miracle very seriously. They don't just be like, oh, well, we think maybe. No, I'm sure they have a whole bunch of people looking at it and investigating to make sure that it really happens. So we'll have to keep our ears tuned to hear what they decide. But that's really cool because even whatever they decide, that there have been Eucharistic miracles like that in the past. Okay, Elise, did you want to share something?
I have a question. I was wondering if we could see Dominic's again for the stand because I want to stand on mine.
Sure. Well, it's not, I don't have it with me. I'm gonna see.
Where is it?
We'll try to find it for you. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Might be destroyed.
Yeah.
We don't know.
It might be in progress and might also be really not pretty. So, All right, we're gonna go see where that kid is off to. Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Anybody else have a Eucharistic story that I missed? Do you?
Us.
Okay, go ahead, tell us.
Okay, so this is about my brother because he's doing altar serving right now. He just started today. But he was like he was in Holy Communion, and then all of a sudden he was like it looked like he was gonna faint, and then he received it, and then he felt so much better, and then he didn't faint.
Oh, that's wonderful. Oh, that's a great story. So the craziest story in our family, and he's on the other side of the camera, he won't come over here and tell you, so I'll tell you. Our oldest received his first Holy Communion right before they shut down the churches for COVID. So if you remember that crazy time. So we were at daily mass and we got there a little early. So he went to confession. And then right after that, the priest came out and said, well, I think they're going to shut down the churches. So does Gus want to receive his first Holy Communion? So he wasn't wearing his fancy suit, or we didn't have a party afterwards. He just went forward and received his first Holy Communion on that day. And then he didn't receive his second Holy Communion for like 4 months. So when we were waiting because the churches were closed. So he received first Holy Communion and then had to wait months and months and months to receive his second Holy Communion. And in our parish now, they are doing something where they take the sacred host and they dip it into the precious blood so that we can receive both. And they do that if you receive on the tongue. And so when they started doing that, it was the first time my kids were able to receive the precious blood. Oh yeah, okay. Because in this era we live in where, you know, there's with all the post-COVID things, that's been a big change from before. So anyway, so those are just some thoughts. Okay, we're gonna do a little progress check on your crafts. So wherever you are, whatever stage your craft is in, can you hold it up so we can see what it looks like on the screen, okay? Whatever stage you're in. Oh, look, some people are making some huge progress. Oh, I like the creativity. All right. Oh, good. We got a lot of things coming in. Very nice. Yeah, we have someone doing something totally different here. That's fine. Wonderful. Okay, I'm going to go to the next screen. Very nice. They're coming along. My thing I like the best is in my kids or with you guys now is seeing when you have a little idea and how you can change it and come up with new ideas, all those things. Okay, anybody have a question where they're at right now?
No, that was not good. Which was good.
Okay, Trez, we had a couple other things we were going to talk about. We already kind of talking about Eucharistic miracles, but do you have any other Eucharistic miracles in mind that you could maybe? I know there's a lot of them. So anybody, well, you can turn your mic on or you can tell us. Oh, iPad. Do you guys have something to share? I just saw you guys put your hand up.
Yeah, we do.
You guys got to share.
So for the stand on the cross, how do you do that? Do you like stand it up or do you like circle it and put it on the back, or do you like stand it up like this?
Oh, to make it stand up.
Yeah.
You can do a lot of different things. So for ours, when it dried, they realized it wasn't strong enough on the back, so we put some extra popsicle sticks on the back. For that piece of paper, what you can do is, Trez, do you want to hold yours up? They put that piece of paper here with words
Okay.
that remind us to go to Eucharistic adoration. My kids didn't want to do that. They wanted this to look kind of more like it does in Eucharistic adoration. So they decided to just kind of take that by itself, put that on cardboard with popsicle sticks behind it, and then just kind of hang it close by. And this is yours. You know, if you think, you know, I just want to just see Jesus and not see words, then you can not use that too if you want.
Okay.
100% what will be most helpful for you in reminding yourself to go to see Jesus.
Okay.
Is that helpful? Do you guys if you got any questions, just let me know.
Wait.
Hey, Trez, do you have a Eucharist miracle in mind?
I finished one.
I do, but I'm not sure I know like all the details to it. What I remember was that I'm pretty sure it was like after Mass or something, someone had like received the Eucharist but didn't actually receive the Eucharist and went outside and like somehow a host got dropped right by like where this tree was or something. And like it was like years later, someone ended up cutting down this tree and inside there was like this like mark. Like if you cut the tree like in half or like this, you could see like an impression of the host.
Wow.
So it was really cool.
That is cool. I thought you were going to tell a different story. There's a story from like the early 1900s where the same thing. Someone went to Mass, they received the Eucharist, but they didn't consume it. And just so you know, we don't do that. Unless you're going to be carrying the Eucharist to someone who's like stuck in their home, then you are a special person and you have a special container and you go directly there. So when you receive the Eucharist, we always consume the Eucharist right away. But this person did something wrong and they took it and somehow like the Eucharist got thrown into a swamp or something crazy like that. And there were, and of course the priest is there, they're aware of what's happening. And like miraculously, someone went out there and got it right away. Like, even though it had kind of like submerged in the swamp. So lots of crazy, crazy stories. So let's see. I see people with hands up. Mackenzie, do you have something you want to share? Nope, just your hand up. No problem. No problem. Okay. Some of my favorite Eucharistic miracles. Well, they're like the one that was already shared about the Eucharist bleeding, where we can actually see Jesus's body and blood. Oh, is it Popic family? Is that your name, buddy? I say now last name's wrong. Can you turn yours on?
Popic, not topic.
Okay, say it again for me.
People mistake it all the time. Don't worry.
Show us your complete craft. It looks really awesome.
Don't worry. People mistake it all the time.
Okay, I love it. That's really, really nice. Very nice.
I'm so close to being
done. Very nice. Anybody else got a finished craft? You want to turn your microphone on and show us? Takes a while for that glue to dry. So it takes.
Catherine wanted to show hers. It's Walk family.
Walk. Okay.
No, here.
Oh, nice.
Peter, move.
I love it.
We don't have the Jesus picture yet.
Okay. Well, if your mom needs me to send it to her again, tell her just send me a message. We'll make sure you get one.
Just need the ink.
Yeah. Maybe you could draw one too.
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay. Rojas family, do you guys want to say something?
I finished.
Oh, nice. Beautiful. What did you write on the bottom?
Jesus, I adore you.
Oh, I love it. I love that. That's really, really great. Okay, so we have about 10 minutes left. So while you're thinking, some of my favorite Eucharistic miracles have to do with natural disasters. I think those are always so interesting. Like stories where, do you guys know, there's another one in the Popic family. Very nice. Anyways, where do you know what a huge tsunami is? A tsunami is a giant wave, huge wave that comes up to a city and just has a really terrible disaster that follows because it crashes into a city. And there's been stories about priests taking the Eucharist inside of a monstrance out to the shore where this huge wave is coming. And miraculously, Jesus working through the Eucharist, it just melts back into the ocean. There's a story about that happening. And then there's another story of a giant flood that swept through a city, and people left so quickly that the priests forgot to go into the church and get Jesus out of the monstrance, off of the altar. They had to leave so quickly. When they came back, everything was flooded and muddy and full of the water went down, and they could see where the water had been. But they could tell in this church the water had filled the church, but it had created like 2 walls of water. And in the middle, what do you think was in the middle? Jesus in the monstrance. So there's just some really amazing things. It's so amazing to see that like Jesus really is there when the Eucharist bleeds, but even to see God's power in the Eucharist. Okay. Are everybody doing good? I think we might actually let you just keep crafting in your own home and not get gold glue all over your parents' computer and phone. So anybody, like there's gold glue, gold paint on this one. Well, the other one there is. Okay. Let's see. Anybody that we haven't heard from yet, does anybody out there that we haven't heard from have any sort of Eucharistic story that they want to share? Anything at all? Oh, okay. Well, go ahead, Perpetua. You can share. I know you have something else to share. Go ahead.
Okay, can I do two?
Go ahead, hon.
Okay, so once there was this monstrance and the priest took it out, and then the Eucharist in the monstrance, it was beating. So it was like beating like a heart. It was a rhythm heartbeat. And then they went out and tested it out, and it was really Jesus's body. It was really cool. And then another one was oh shoot, I just forgot it. But yeah, okay. That one was really cool.
That is really cool. Okay, Rojas family, you guys got 2 hands raised. Let's see, what do you guys got to share?
You know the one that you said of the one of the tsunami?
Yeah.
It happened where my parents used to live.
Really? Wow. Where's that?
In Colombia.
Yeah, there's lots of cool miracles that happen down there and Marian apparitions and all this stuff. That's awesome. All right. Very good. Okay. Anybody else have something they want to share before we head out? Okay. I'm going to say your name wrong. Hopik? Huit? I can't figure out your name.
Popek.
Popek. Okay. Long O. Popek. Got it. Okay. What do you have to share, buddy?
Well, there's some Eucharistic miracles that led to the conversion of some of the scientists who were studying it.
That is so cool. And does anybody know the 15-year-old that made a website with tons of Eucharistic miracles? What was his name?
Carlo Acutis.
Carlo Acutis. Has anybody ever been to his website?
Yeah.
It's still out there. Isn't that amazing to know that there's a boy who's almost a saint who played video games and worked on a computer? That's so cool, isn't it? Okay, games family. Do you guys have something to share?
Yeah. This is a little bit not quite related, but Maura is 4 and she wanted to share something when you guys were talking about First Holy Communion. Go ahead, you can come.
Guess what? I'm gonna wear my mommy's same dress as she wore when she was first communion, and when she had her first communion.
Wow, that's so beautiful. Are you excited?
See.
That's wonderful. Anybody wear the same dress as a family member for their First Holy Communion?
Yeah.
Or maybe the same suit? That's beautiful. It's a reminder that our family is so important for us when we prepare for those sacraments, right? How beautiful. Okay. All right. Let's see here. Sylvia, did you guys have something you wanted to share?
Yeah, I had a Eucharistic story I wanted to share.
Come on.
So there was a priest one time, and he was having doubts about the Eucharist, whether it was really turning into the body and blood of Jesus. And so one day, even though he was having doubts, he celebrated the Mass, and the host and the wine turn into actual body and blood.
That is amazing.
And if
it's a story I think
you're talking about,
that happened a long time ago, and it's still so it happened, I think like 1,000 years ago, and it's still around. And the scientists with all the new technology tested it, and it really is blood. It's amazing. Okay, one more person, then I think we're going to head out for the day. Samuel Benedict, do you want to turn your mic on and tell us something?
Well, I was gonna show you guys mine.
Wow. Do you have like some gems on there?
Yeah.
Nice. Oh, I like how you put some extra strength on the back of it too. Some extra popsicle sticks there. That's really beautiful. Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. Okay. Okay. A quick reminder to everybody that number one, this craft is for you to remind yourself that even spending 5 minutes with Jesus in Eucharistic adoration is a beautiful gift to him and a beautiful gift to you because you get to be with God. And number two, what I would love is at the end of my little teaching, you probably saw a picture of Bernadette with her monstrance that she made. I would love it if your parents took a couple minutes to take a picture of you, your beautiful face, holding up your monstrance creation. And if they shared that with us inside of the community. And so, oh, look, here's Bernadette with hers that she's making right now.
I finished.
Oh, it's very wet with paint though. Be
Yeah.
careful. So if they took a picture of you and shared that with us so we could see your beautiful face. And then the other thing is that I'm going to keep this list of kids preparing for their first Holy Communion. And we'll ask in the community because I know Saturday mornings are busy. Not everybody was able to come today. But please know that if you're preparing for your first Holy Communion this year, we're going to be praying for you in a special way. And I really believe that we need to prepare for our next Holy Communion like I do. I need to prepare every single time before I go to Holy Mass. So I really believe and am prepared to receive Jesus. So I'll be praying for you all as you prepare to receive your next Holy Communion. So anyway, Trez, you want to say goodbye to everybody? And then we'll sign up and get back to our Saturdays, okay? Bye. You want to say bye?
Bye.
Bye. And just so you can think forward to next month is October. The church tells us that that's the month of the rosary. So we won't be playing with glue and paint next month. We'll be playing with beads. We'll be making rosaries. Try to keep the supplies really simple. But that's the plan for next month, making rosaries. So get excited. Tell your friends. And we'll see you there. We'll see you on other posts.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Take care.
Bye. Bye. Bye.